Hello. The topic of today's video is to explore named entities. This is a notion that you may not be familiar with. So before I start with the HistText interface, let me say a few words about this. Named entities are terms that are automatically recognized with the use of algorithm and organized in different categories. In our case, in the case of HistText, we use the onto nodes categories. Onto nodes is a collaborative project, and it annotates large corpora of text in Chinese, in English, in Arabic, and various genres of text, so that you can have a larger branch of specific named entities that are used then to train models for extracting such named entities in other types of texts. The 18 categories that we extract in HistText are these categories. In the results that you will see in a moment, they are listed with code names, NORP, FAC, ORG. It may not be obvious. Person is the most obvious, of course. NORP refers to nationalities or religious or political groups and so on. So I'll give you the list here. You can easily find these lists on the internet if you need to. Let me go back to the HistText interface, and we'll start from the same query based on shopkeeper in the ProQuest collection with only 2 newspapers. I enable named entity recognition, and I set the limit at 5,000. I know that I have less than that, but I want to catch everything. As you can see, we actually have 2,000 documents also. Here you see the full text of each article, and they are not annotated, they are not labeled. You do not see the named entities, you only see the highlighted shopkeeper term which you queried. To see the name entities, then we go to the Entities tab. It is organized very simply. At the top here you have a summary. So you know that the number of terms that were extracted is above 50,000. They were extracted from these 1,487 documents. All 18 types are represented, and the average confidence rate is 85%. So this is quite good. We'll see, I say a few words on that later on. Then right below, you do find the 18 categories. And if you click on any of these buttons, then instead of having all the results here, you will have only the one that you've selected. Let's say I take ORG for organization. As you can see, then I now have only the organizations. And I have an indication that I have more than 5,000 and that only 9% are being shown here. If I want to unselect, I just click again. If I click many, let's say more than 5, this, and then I want to go back to my original data set without having to unselect one by one, just click on none here and you return to the whole data set. One level below, you also have another way of filtering the results if you want to, and this one is based on this confidence index. The confidence index is not an absolute measure. It's just that the algorithms makes an assessment itself and say, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm very accurate, and you will be close to 100%. Or I'm not sure, and so you will get a lower confidence rate. So we organize this into 3 groups: high confidence, medium confidence, low confidence. In fact, the low confidence is interesting. I will select it. You can see that here it has identified 200, as cardinal numbers, which is correct, in fact. But for a reason that we do not know, the algorithm still was not sure enough to say this is a very good result. So assign a lower level of. The zebra. It's an interesting case because it has been assigned a person entity, and it's not, of course, a person, but it could be a person because it could be a nickname. The same with sensor long. This is a person with a title, but it was confused with an organization, hence the lower level of confidence. If you click on these here, you can filter, but here we're just going to organize. And as you can see, we have the lowest levels here. If I, within this group of low confidence, or the highest at 60. So it's another way, again, of filtering and grouping before you want to decide whether you keep them, you want to eliminate them, you want to just download them, and so on. If you want to return to the whole data set, then click on All. So we have here the preliminary introduction. So you know exactly what you have. This is very important. Now here we have the named entities in a tabular format. You have the document ID, of course. We'll see in a moment that we can see the document. We have the text that was extracted and recognized as an entity. The entity type. Start and end refer to the exact location of the term in the text. It's really like a coordinate. It's really not very useful unless you know how to use advanced natural language processing techniques. And then the confidence index. As before, if you want to remove the column that you do not really want to see, you can remove them. If the text of the entity is large, you can always enlarge to make sure that you can see them all. We have a high number of results, so many pages. You can decide that you want to see them, display many more of them in this. But the purpose is not that. It's just to give you a facility, but honestly, I do not think that this is going to be something you want to use. Within each category, you can filter. If we take entity types, before I said you can just click and unclick, but it's not very refined, or you can take 1, 2, 3, and so on. You can do the same here by using contains. So if I say org, it will select the organization. But you have other possibilities that may not be very interesting in this case, like does not equal equals, or begins with or end with. For the entity type, it's not really useful. But let's say we do the same here. And I want something about council. So I will have all the possible council, which is one type of organization. If I want to be more precise, and I think, okay, I know that certain organizations end with cancel, then you can decide that's end with. As you can see here, then I've filtered and I've only the term that end with this term. I take this opportunity also to point out something. You have the municipal council. And here you have municipal council. And you will have the same with Shanghai Municipal Council, the Shanghai Municipal Council. It means that when you will be downloading your results, before you can really use them in a third-party application, there is always a step of data cleaning. This is inevitable. There is never an algorithm that will produce perfect result, especially when applied to historical text, where you have issues not just of not including an article, but also we'll see problem with OCR. This is inevitable. Let me remove this. If you are interested in a very specific named entity, then here you can also do the same. Let's say I'm interested in selecting Shantung. So Shantung will be many things. It will be Shantung province. It can be Shantung Road in Shanghai. It can be Shantung Cemetery, most probably if I go further. It can be an address, a very specific address on Shantung Hall. It can be Shantung Road Hospital, which is a facility or an organization. So you can select very precisely what you want. In this case, we do not have any issue with OCR. Let me take another example, a person. I take Yuan, and I just take the first name with a space. If I take just the term, I may have many other things, as you can see here, like place names and so on. As soon as I introduce, so it's one of the tricks that you learn when you do querying and filtering. So I have a much more limited number of results, and I have especially Yuan Shikai that I wanted to get. And also, again, to point out this issue of authorized historical text. We have Yuan Shikai written correctly here, but as you can see, we have another version with an I here. We have another version with two I's here just because of this OCR confusion. So you have to keep that in mind when, at least in this kind of sources, you extract named entities. It means that when you do a query on a name for someone, let's say you want to look for all the articles with Yuan Shikai in it, then, as you can see here, you will miss probably documents where Yuan Shikai appears with a different spelling. So these features allow you to do all sorts of filtering. Now let's examine the document and say the good part with HistText is that it always allows you to go back to the source itself. Here I have the article. Okay, I have the title of the document, its ID, the full text here, and other items of metadata. I have the whole text, so I just click to have the full text, and I want to see my named entities. So all I have to do is click on Show Entity Highlighting. And now I can see all the named entities that have been recognized in this. This is very useful, not for systematic reading, of course. If you have thousands of documents, you won't be doing this. This is very useful when you have a document that you want to look at specifically. You want to explore different, you want to look at different articles to get a sense of what's being identified, but also a sense of the nature of the text. Some texts come with many, many named entities, and some, like this one, do not have much, in fact, in terms of named entities. So it tells something about the nature of the article. I do not know whether I can find one that will have, no, it's the same type of text with a lot of narrative and not many entities. The last part that I want to show is simply that you can download the results. I make sure I have everything, no filtering, nothing, and I download. See, even with a very high level, high number of entities, I can easily download them. I will open this file. So as you can see, you get a spreadsheet with exactly the same structure. We can check and see that we have the same number of results. We do. We have 54,486 rows. And this is what we had here. If you select certain categories. Let's say you want to do network analysis. You want to build a network of organizations and persons. You just select these two, download in the